Well, I want to give you a couple points that aren't really said in the alternative media and actually aren't even said in the major media because I'm going to actually interject a number of different things here. This is actually about the Ukraine conflict. Um, I know in the alternative media they want to tell you it's basically a bloodless revolution and that type of stuff. It's not. Actually, if you're there has been a number of Russian casualties, and the bodies are piling up. Actually, not well. Let me put it this way: the parents and family of soldiers, Russian soldiers killed in Ukraine, are being told that their sons died of or missing, or it was just an accident or whatever, but it's actually due to the conflict that's going on in Ukraine. Now, Russia is actually trying to wrestle a large part of Ukraine from the Ukraine, by breaking off provinces that will be semi-autonomous. But when you do that, you can control it through the Kremlin. And I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, yeah, the Orange Revolution was funded by Soros." Yeah, it was. But Viktor Yanukovych was one of the most crooked robber barons going of all time. So if you're actually going to say that one side's good and the other side's bad, it's not like that at all. But the thing is, Ukraine, my point is on this whole deal, before we get into any of this stuff I'm going to talk about, is Ukraine ought to just be independent for itself. Neither part of the UN, neither part of the European Union, nor part of Russia, or influenced by anybody. It should just be independent. So let me just put it to you that way. And most people, I know there's over the years there's been a lot of integration from Russians because of during the Stalin era, which is very heavy-handed. But there's been a number of Russian soldiers that have been getting killed in this conflict, and you're not hearing about it because it's basically not reported in the Russian media either. Because you'd have to be somebody on the ground right there to see what's going on. So, in other words, but where it's coming out is that the parents and family of these soldiers who said, they're getting reports they died or they're missing or something happened to them, they're realizing what's going on. They're getting killed in, rocket attacks or whatever the heck's going on. And you got to remember this. Ukraine is still an independent country, whether you want to say Soros was rigging the election or whatever, but you also got to figure Viktor Yanukovych was in the hip pocket of Putin too, and look how much wealth he has. If you don't see that, well, you're just a shill for Russia today, because there's two sides to this whole story. But Ukraine is an independent nation. So you got Russian soldiers basically going in there unmarked, backing rebels to overthrow the nation. So you have the Ukrainian army fighting them, and they're killing them. They are killing them because they're coming into their country. And the Russians are actually saying, how come, the actual Russian soldiers are actually not too motivated by this war, especially when one of their members gets killed, because it's like, why are we fighting Ukrainians? Because, they're not invading us. It's almost like the alternative media or whatever it is, or people repeat the crap that comes out of Russia today. They'll say it's Putin's backyard. Well, you could say Russia's Ukraine's backyard. I mean, come on. It's an independent nation. I'm not saying it belongs to the EU. I'm not saying it belongs to anybody. I say it belongs to Ukraine. But there's one thing too. I also want to say that Ukraine, if you actually look at the colors of Ukraine, you see like the golden or yellow color and the blue. Actually, it's like a sky blue. Actually, their flag. That is because they're actually known as the grain belt or the breadbasket of Europe. Sunny skies, or else if you want to look at it as wheat. They grow a lot of wheat, and that's very important for Putin. It has a strategic importance, and the sky blue skies. So as we have some temperature and climate changes, and we have problems with agriculture, Ukraine is actually of very strategic importance for Russian survival because of the the wheat that's grown there. And what's happened in the 30s, during the 1930s, during Stalin, basically he took their food and gave it to the Russians and starved out the Ukrainians. That's why there isn't as many Ukrainians left there, because they were killed purposely by policy from Stalin. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. But, what's going on with Ukraine is actually a lot of them are suffering greatly due to this conflict. And was it brought about by Ukraine? No, it's being brought about from pressure from Vladimir. But, I also want to point out this. The pro-Russian unrest is being funded by Vladimir directly. But what he's doing is, a lot of Ukrainians aren't for this, but what he's doing is he's boosting his popularity. He's boosting his popularity by doing this. It's a shrewd maneuver. It's almost like when you had what really propelled him into power in the first place. It was when the firebombing of the apartment happened by the Chechen rebels, and he went to war against the Chechen rebels, and his popularity soared in Russia. Now you got to remember, there's no like real alternative media in Russia where they got all these people screaming like, "Oh, Putin's this and that." They get shut down, man. They get killed. You know what I mean? That's actually one of the most dangerous places to be a reporter in Russia. That's a fact. I notice people don't want. I know I got trolls around here following me around, like the one girl from North Korea that's probably located in South Korea because her internet still worked. And you know who you are. But I always see like trolls following me around and going, gigging me. But as far as Putin, it's actually boosted his popularity when he took back the Crimea. But what's going on now, there's an underlying current because there's dead bodies coming in now from Russian soldiers, and and it's like the families are realizing and they're questioning, why is my son fighting for this? Why is my son fighting for this? So it's the same old game. The alternative media, they'll readily criticize anything that goes on in the West. But, this guy, for instance, Gerald Celente, he's basically I've already determined he's basically a mouthpiece for Russia today. I'm disgusted with this guy, to tell you the truth. Personally, I'm disgusted with this guy to the max, man. I don't know where the hell, it's almost like, the Italian heritage. But, when Rome fell, most of the brave ones died fighting on the fronts, and the cowards hid back. So maybe you come from a long line of cowards, and you just want to suck up to Russia today. But I got to say this because this guy is really turning my stomach a lot. And anybody that sits back here in the United States in their easy chair, thinking they're secure in their four walls in their easy chair, smoking a cigar, driving your foreign-made Kia or Hyundai, I got news for you, man. You could easily, if the American military if the United States collapses, the American military collapses, and a foreign power will come in here, grab you out of your easy chair in your secure four walls, take away your possessions, and put you to work working out in the field if you're lucky, or else kill you. That's really what it's going to come down to. If I got to put it that damn strong, you think it's bullshit. Everybody laughs until, it comes right on them. Until, actually in Ukraine, nobody believed this would have happened. So quickly. Nobody believed this. Nobody. But it's not like Putin's popular in Ukraine. I mean, even in places where you have pro-Russian unrest, that doesn't mean 99% of the people are for Putin. Hell no, man. Hell no. And actually the older veterans from the 1940s, World War II, they're totally against this kind of garbage because they says, there's no reason for it. You know how much effort goes into fighting a war and how much destruction of materials? It's like if you put all that effort into freaking producing something, the economy anywhere would turn around in 2 seconds flat. But nobody does it. What people really get people fired up is when it's patriotism, nationalism. In the absence of nationalism, how do you fire up the people to sacrifice more? Use the environment. Thus you have the global warming agenda. So you see the pattern with all this kind of crap. And this guy here is a mouthpiece for Russia today. And I could also say Alex Jones is indirectly working with these yo-yos too. So I got a problem with both the major media and the alternative media on this. But I'm going to tell you what's going to go on here in the long run. Vladimir Putin is not going to cave on this. No way in hell. As a matter of fact, he's going to be playing the propaganda in such a good way to his favor that Russians are actually, the more U.S. and the West tries to sanction Russia, the more the Russians are going to say, good, we'll put up with it, and we realize what it's coming from. Because he's got the good propaganda machine. Now, actually, the only way to really fight this is if the Ukrainian, true Ukrainians, were armed to the teeth, and they sent back invaders in body bags. That would actually put political pressure on Putin. As long as the war goes quick and fast in his favor, he has no problem. But if it does not go in his favor, it's going to become vastly unpopular. So, that's one thing. But, the West, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you one thing: the West and the Kremlin are pretty much working together, no matter what you see here on the surface, and they're all working against us. You know, they all pretty much have a game against us, and that's really what's been going on since day one. You know, I don't have nothing against Russians, man. I think it's bullshit that if you're in the Russian army, you got to go to Ukraine, which is, you know, Ukraine's considered almost like the brothers of Russia, you know? And you got to go to Ukraine and kill Ukrainians and, you know, take it over and stuff like that. For what? I mean, it's considered like the brothers of Russia. You know, it's almost like I wouldn't dream of, you know, I just couldn't be in their shoes and think how they're thinking, because really what's going on, it's actually to heighten the political popularity of Putin. Ever since he got back to Crimea into Russia's proper, you know, I know it's not recognized by the West, but actually in reality it's there, man, it's theirs. But you know, the thing is, the Crimea was not going to be lost anyway. It was almost semi-autonomous even when it was under the Ukraine government. And they put it up to election. Do you want to go to this? Do you want to go to that? And they supposedly voted unanimously for, just about unanimously, for Russia, go under Russia. So, you know, the thing is, though, it was never in danger of being lost. And, you know, you got to remember, if you trust elections, you don't even know. I mean, it's almost like the Swiss decided to not have their currency backed by 20% gold. It's like the Scottish said, we don't want to break away from the UK. You know, and then in Ukraine is all, but, you know, the alternative media totally trust the election in Ukraine that they all wanted to go be part of Russia. How do you know? How do you really know? You don't. I mean, I'm not going to say one way or the other, but you really don't know for a fact. But in any case, there was no threat to the naval bases that were there. And on top of that, it's not the only naval base that's in the Black Sea. The Russians have other naval bases in the Black Sea. They got about a 400-mile coastline on the Black Sea as it is. But, you know, the bodies are piling up in Ukraine, and the word is getting out in, in Russia that, you know, and they're actually questioning, you know, what the hell are we fighting for? You know what I mean? Next stop is Ukraine. You know, it's just like the Americans used to question, why the hell are we fighting in Vietnam or whatever the hell it is. You know, I mean, it's like you say, well, it's our backyard. Well, you know, it's an independent nation. That's their brothers, right? So why are you killing them, right? And that's what, you know, the average Russian soldiers, but the average Russian soldier can't freaking question this. But the problem is, we got these yo-yos in the alternative media that are nothing but mouthpieces for Russia today. I'm disgusted with this guy big time. And there's Mike Rivero, there's, you know, there's a load of them. There's a load of them. That's all they know how to do. For profit, too. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you one thing with Putin, though. And this is some insight that you're probably not going to hear from on the major media or the alternative media or anything. I'm going to tell you some insight on him very specifically and personally. This guy, and when he was younger, well, he's always into judo. He knows his judo, right? But he was also a judo champion. I think when he was like in his late teens, he won a championship. Very, very good at it. Now, one principle of judo is to exploit your opponent's weakness and go for the move right then. Do not wait. Judo is the exact opposite of playing chess. You know how the alternative media likes to mock the U.S. versus Russia with Putin, and they're saying it's like the U.S. is playing checkers and Russia's playing chess. Putin is not playing chess. He's playing judo, and he's not playing. He's fighting judo, okay? He's fighting to win. If, and I think this is actually almost a given, we're going to have a normal, severe market downturn in 2015. Now, maybe your gold and precious metals are going to go up, but other people or in the general equities are probably going to see a lot of disappearance of their wealth, right, if you want to put it that way. This is when you're going to see the alternative media fanning the flames of division and throwing gasoline on the fire when there's a fire going on in the United States for their own profit, for their own dollars, and they do nothing. They do nothing. They do nothing. So that's when Putin is going to exploit the weakness. And you see, this has always been the situation. Actually, the whole um, dissolution of the Soviet Union by, according to Major Anatoly Golitsyn, KGB major defected in 1961. He was writing about the dissolution of the Soviet Union long-range plans in the 70s, which occurred basically in the late 80s. That, glasnost would come about, the restructuring, perestroika would come about, the fall of the Berlin Wall, reunification of Germany, there'd be a new awakening, a new opening, and all this kind of stuff. He says it was a long-range strategic deception to get more technology and prevent the West to build up Russia, and also to for the long. And when the opportunity comes up, when the West is weak, Russia will strike. And actually, a judo master. I don't know what he's good at it. I mean, I know he's mainly a politician now. He's not like somebody who's like does judo every day or whatever the hell it is. But that's his whole psyche. That's Putin's whole psyche. When the West is weak, he's going to exploit the weakness, and the alternative media and all the freaking yo-yos that are buying into that shit are going to be set right into the trap all the way. It's not. I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen. When we're weak, he's going to make as many inroads as possible. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's going to go as far as he can. That's what it is, man. So this type of guy, actually, the way to get him is actually to slam him. And actually, the way to slam him is to arm the shit out of Ukraine. Not to be against Russia, but to defend their own soil. And as far as true Americans, arm the shit out of yourselves. Because when it comes right down to it, the armchairs in the alternative media that profit by fanning in flames of division, they're not going to do a damn thing for you, man. Actually, they probably find out if they go run over to Putin. Putin will say, well, you're no longer useful to me. Screw you. Here's a job. Go working in a farm for freaking 75 hours a week. Enjoy. Here's a pick and an axe or some shit. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So that's what it is. Useful idiots. Now, as far as Alex Jones, I think he's in with the Illuminati to the max, man. So, just whatever. I'm putting out something here a little bit different from the rest of the guys. But, I don't really go in with the alternative media or the major media either. They're making a major mistake how they're trying to freaking deal with Putin with this freaking sanction shit. That's stupid, man. It's doing something. It's doing something. But the thing is, if it doesn't, sanctions will not knock Putin out of power. They're having major economic problems in Russia. There's a lot of things going on I can't really discuss in this one video because it's already going too long. But I probably will on a silver video or something. But the thing is, it's not going to knock Putin out of power. No way in hell. So if he doesn't get knocked out of power, it just makes him look good in the long run. It's like Stalin. Stalin freaking, suffered all these things. He killed off his whole, officer corps practically, right? The best minds in his military. And guess what happened, right? What happened? Nothing, right? He's still staying in power. Putin's got complete power, man. He's not going to get out of power, man. No way in hell. So, but the best way to actually put the hurt on him actually is to make sure the Ukrainians have the means to defend themselves, because the more Russians that are invading their country get sent home in body bags for invading Ukraine, the more problems Putin's going to have. More he's going to have to answer to. It's like you're not going to kill a Russian just for the hell of it. You're killing them because they're coming on your land trying to take it over. That's what they're doing. So, and it's happening. And this is actually becoming a political backlash more so than sanctions. But anyway, that's all I got to say about this. I want to give you a little twist on this damn thing. I probably went too long, but there's a lot of different things going on that neither the major media nor the alternative media is telling you in a lot of different angles. But do remember that angle about judo in Putin. That is his whole psyche. He does not play chess. He fights judo. He waits for the opponent to make a mistake, to be weak, to be vulnerable. Then he does not wait like he's playing chess. He strikes immediately. That is Putin psyche to the max. I know that. That's my own personal observation, but I know enough about this stuff, how they think with this kind of stuff. You don't You know, in Hollywood, let me put it to this one: you're watching a movie. You know, it's almost like this one gets knocked down, and the other guy lets him get up, and then they go on fighting for another 5 minutes, and this one gets in a vulnerable position, and it's almost like they're playing a game. No, when the person's down, you go for the kill right immediately, and that is exactly the psyche of somebody that knows judo and is anybody with a martial arts. They do not wait. They do not wait. They do not play chess. So I'm telling you that this alternative media yo-yos like Gerald Salenti, Alex Jones, Mike Rivero, and all the rest of those yo-yos out there, they're going to profit by the turmoil temporarily. In the long run, they're going to be useless freaking eaters to the whoever. If the United States loses, they're going to be useless eaters to the regime that comes in. But I don't think the United States is going to lose, because I want to put out some more things on this and tell you how to fight the bullshit on both sides, the elite on both sides, whether it's Russian or the U.S. or whatever. I don't even want to say it's the U.S., but elitists are scumbags, and professionals that are suits are scumbags that suck up to elitists. So you see where I'm coming from. Even though I was in that trade a little bit, they disgust me. Anyway, over now.